Google Analytics goals are an essential part of setting up a working Google Analytics Universal Analytics implementation. But how do you do this for Google Analytics 4? Well, in Google Analytics 4, we are not talking about goals anymore, but actually conversions. And we need to take care of a few more setup steps as well as understand a little bit about how to set up conversions correctly. So let's go over to computer and dive into how to set this up correctly. All right, we start our journey inside of our Google Analytics 4 account. And here we want to now configure our conversions as they're called in Google Analytics 4 now. So in order to do so, you can go over to the configure section, and here you'll find the conversions that you have defined for your account. Now by default, there is already the purchase defined, and that is something if you are sending any e-commerce information into the system, into Google Analytics 4, this will be counted as a conversion automatically. So this cannot be turned off or deleted or anything. This is by default already configured for your account. How can we now add another goal in here? I know it says new conversion event, but what Google Analytics 4 is actually similar to Universal Analytics is that you are not sending conversions into Google Analytics 4. You are simply marking conversions or marking events that are sent into Google Analytics 4 as conversions. And that's why we have this mark as conversions button. Now, what you therefore need to do first is to send your event that you want to count as a conversion into Google Analytics 4. Now, as you might know, a conversion could be anything. It's really just the definition of what it means for your users to be successful on your website. And for an e-commerce, that's pretty clear that you want them to buy something. For other websites, it might be different, and you can track this with event tracking. We have another video on how to configure events in Google Analytics 4, which I'm also going to link up down below. Now for websites, just like our WordPress blog here, you might have a contact us form and might want to track that as a conversion. So you first need to send this event into the system. I have already pre-configured this. So when you fill this out, we are sending off an event based on the form submit here with the help of Google Tag Manager, of course. So I've configured our tags correctly. So when a contact us event happens, we are sending this information over to Google Analytics 4. We can also see this here that we had a form submit, and this sent our Google Analytics 4 event over to our instance here of Google Analytics 4. And we should see this actually by going into our, well, we have here our debug view under the configure section as well. And here is where we normally get our data into the form. So here we see already a form submit that happened. And this form submit has the properties. Let's see, we have here a form submit with the properties, the parameters, form and contact us. So this is coming in fine into our system. Now I've pre-configured this and actually ran this already yesterday because it takes 24 hours for this then to show up under our events right here. So this is still under the configure section. Under the events, you will then find your event that you sent in. In my case, it would be the form submit. And I've done this a little bit prior because, or 1 or 2 days prior, because it takes 24 to 48 hours to actually show up in this kind of report. And from here now, we can simply say, okay, if I want to count this as a conversion, I simply toggle this button and it's now marked as a conversion. And then it will also show up here in the conversion column. And at any time you can turn this off. Now, what I didn't really show in the demo quite well is that when we go back to debug view, we saw this little flag, and this flag actually means that this is now a conversion that actually happened. So this will actually only, it will show up like this at the beginning, form submit. But when you mark it as a conversion, it should then be green as well. So again, I'm simply sending off a form submit here. And once I do this, a event gets fired and is sending data over to Google Analytics 4. And in Google Analytics 4 itself, it will register this event. Well, where do we have it? And hopefully then, so we have user engagement and also a form submit right here. And then we'll mark this form submit as a conversion inside of Google Analytics 4. So really, that's already to it. You need to just send your conversion event or the events that you want to mark as a conversion into Google Analytics 4. Go into this section here, wait till your event shows up, takes up to 48 hours. And then you would be able to mark your event as conversion, and you have configured practically your goals in Google Analytics 4. Now, where can you actually see this data later on? Well, let's go over to the Google Analytics 4 demo account, which you can also get access to. I will have a link in the description down below. And here we can simply go over, and we are here in our reports. Let's first of all look what is configured here as a conversion inside of this account. We have begin checkout first, purchase, and then registration complete. Now these should also then show up in your reports. So there is a conversion report that you can now take a look at. Under your reporting again, you go under engagement, and here you see conversions. So here we see a little graph, but also the conversions that were counted. And if you want to see them in a little bit more context, you can obviously look into any other report here. So for example, the user acquisition report to see where did your users come from. And if we then scroll over to the side, you should find a column here called conversions. And these are all conversions that have been counted throughout or put together from all of the conversions that are tracked. But if you want to choose one specific one, so for example, begin checkout, we'll just choose that, and it will filter it based on these conversions as well. And then we can see which of our mediums or of our sources have converted the best based on the conversions that you have defined here. So really similar to goals inside of Universal Analytics, just the naming really changed. You still need to just simply mark your conversions, and then you can use them in your account as well. Now you might have noticed, and this is the second part of this little video here, is that you might not have a distinct event that you send over to Google Analytics 4, and you just want to port over what you have in Google Analytics, Universal Analytics. Now, sometimes you have defined goals inside of Universal Analytics that are based on a page view. So for example, here you have a thank you page, and that could also be used as a conversion point for Google Analytics 4. Unfortunately, fortunately, we don't want to send this over as an event, but just use a page view that we have already in the system, which gets tracked automatically once you install Google Analytics 4 into your system. So as you might have seen, when we were previously here on our debug mode, we obviously have not only checked our event, but then also our page view automatically. And in the page view itself, we have something called page location. And here we can see, okay, this is the contact us form, but the page view afterwards should have been actually the thank you page right here. So page location, here we go, contact us, and then thank you page. So how do we now take this particular event and make it into a conversion? Because when we go on events here, we don't want to mark all our page views as conversions, because that wouldn't make much sense. You would have too much data and too many conversions in your account. Anybody who comes to your website would actually convert. So what we can do is we can create an event based on the page view event, a completely new event that is based on that event itself, and filter down on only our thank you page. So what do? We could simply go over to, well, let me just duplicate this tab here. So we have our data in the debug view open, and we can see what has been going on. So this page view that we have right here with the page location, we want to mark as conversion. So in our second tab here, what we can do is create an event, and we can create a custom event. Click on create here, and we can give it a name. Now there are many different standard events already that you can choose from if nothing really fits, or maybe something fits. So for example, we have, for example, a lead event we could use a lead event, although there is no standard event for lead. Well, then let's go with something that we make up. I would adhere to the convention here of keeping everything in small letters and then putting in a underscore to mark them. So for example, we could have here our contact us, and then we have our matching conditions. So what is the event name that we want to match this to? Well, in our case, if we look back into our preview mode here, we had page underscore view. So this would be what we want to match it up to. And then we want to add another condition to only fire when the, and here is where we have this as well, where the page location equals or contains thank you page. Let's just copy this and go over. And then we look for our page location and choose the contains option, thank you page. All right. Then you have a option to copy all the parameters from the original event. I would leave that ticked, so you have that later on as well. And we can create our new contact us event. This is now created and we should see it then after a while pop up here in our events. Well, obviously we need to at least send one of those in. So let me just reload this page and we go back to our real-time reporting. Here we should see new data coming in. Well, this sometimes takes a while, and also the hits are batched. So we have a user engagement and we have a page view, and this page view later on should be a conversion. So this is our page view that is now our new event of our contact us. Unfortunately, this takes a little bit to register inside of Google Analytics 4. So if you don't see your event just yet here, although we have defined it, if you go here to create event, we have defined it correctly, then this should show up and you can mark it as conversion from there. So if you want to wait, what you could also do is go to conversions itself and click on new conversion event. And then you need to choose the exact name that you put in here for your event. So in our case, contact underscore us. And when we save this, it will be in the conversion column right now. Unfortunately, it will not yet be counted as we haven't yet produced this event. So let me just reload this one and see how the debug view behaves here. Ah yeah, we have our contact us now, and this should now be also marked as conversion if this works correctly. Here we have our user engagement, and you see this now changed over to the flag, so it is marked as a conversion itself. So this is how you can always see if this is actually marked as a conversion in your account. And again, you need to be patient for this in order to see the event pop up here, but then also in your reports, this will take a little bit of time till you see this as a conversion. Obviously, you need to also choose the right time frame for this. So this is how you can create conversions, mark events as conversions inside of Google Analytics 4. All right, I hope this helped you out to configure your conversions inside of your Google Analytics 4 account. Again, just to recap, you need to first send in an event into your Google Analytics 4 and then mark it as a conversion so you'll be able to see your conversions later on in your reports. If you don't know how to set up the events inside of Google Analytics 4, then I'd recommend to check out this video right over here where I'll show you how to do just that. Now, my name is Julian. Till next time.